Well, we knew it was going to be a tough game. I said all along that the talent level in this league is pretty close to the same, no matter where you are. And Norfolk came in winning 2 out of the last 3. It was senior day, their seniors' last game. It was senior day for us, so we knew our guys would be up. We knew their guys would be up, and then it's Battle of the Bay. I thought the defense played great. Of course, they gave up the one long run, 80 yards. But we threw a pick 6 to give them the lead, and then we came back and mounted the drive after J.J. was injured, came back in and mounted the drive and tied the score up. And we had a couple of scoring opportunities, had some good field position to take the lead, and wasn't able to do so. And then, of course, they got the long 80-yard run, which was the difference in the game. And we didn't play very well. We had some penalties, and had some personal fouls and gave them the ball back, and we just didn't play very well for whatever reason, and that's my fault as the head football coach. I got to get my guys prepared and playing at a high level and cutting down some of these penalties, and unfortunately we came out on the low end of it.
Talk a little bit about Coastal Carolina. What have you seen on them on film? What worries you about Coastal Carolina? Everything. They'll be FBS football program next year, and 85 scholarships, and was already a powerhouse in the FCS before they left. So, it'd be a very tough game to go down and play these guys that they played their last home game and our last game. They're very good on offense, defense, and special teams. Fast on defense, fly around and hit you. Offense, they're powerful. They're gonna run the ball. They run it right down your throat. I think they threw the ball 10 times last game, and maybe 8 the game before that. And they're down to probably their 5th quarterback. And I think the backup quarterback right now wasn't even on the roster at the beginning of the season. He was like a GA, and that played baseball. So he's the backup, and so they're not going to throw the ball. They're going to run it right down your throat, and they've been doing a great job of doing that all year long. And so we have to be prepared to try to stop the run for a physical game and try to get off the football field.
I noticed that Hampton played at Coastal in 2013, year before you got here. Was this game part of that, or did you guys schedule this?
No, this game was part of that. It was a home and away. And I don't really know what happened, but now we got to go back there again. So it was a 2-part game, and I think it was a home game for them in 13 and then a home game for us on a future date. And I think the dates ran out. Now that they're going to FBS, the dates kind of ran out, so we had to get it in this year. And it didn't fit our 2 opens, and we didn't fit it early for them, so we had to play it this week, which is Thanksgiving week, first week of the playoffs. And so that we had to play it at this time.
So you don't know why you had to go back there a second time?
No, I don't. It was, I guess, got worked out some kind of way in part of the deal, but I didn't have anything to do with it, so we got to go back there.
So when you know a team, you know what they're going to do in terms of running. Do they run pretty much the same stuff in terms of their plays, or do they have different variations of?
Well, they got different variations, but they run a lot of the same stuff. But you still have to line up the same way. You got to be gap sound in what you do, and then you just got to be physical, and you got to come up and tackle, and you got to get some push on your defensive line. We need to get penetration to be able to stop the running game, and then we need our linebackers and safeties come up and tackle well to keep them to a minimum game. It's just like no other team in the nation that run the ball. They're going to come in and run it, but you got to stop them.
Are they power running teams?
Power. Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. So it's it'll be a physical game. We need our defensive linemen to step it up and get some penetration and not get pushed back and hold their own so the linebackers can feel and the safeties can feel and make the plays.
Back to the Norfolk State game. Were you surprised about just how chippy the game was? Because Hampton or Norfolk State had the least penalty yardage in the league, and you guys were number 3. And I realize it's a rivalry game, but at the same time, you guys have seemed to have been practicing some discipline, both teams, during the year.
Right. I thought that, they're the least penalized team in the league, and we was number 3. So, we really didn't expect that, all those penalties. I was 16 flags thrown in the first half. We had 9 penalties. They had 7. And, all I can say is it was the rivalry. A lot of those guys last game at Norfolk, and then our seniors, their last home game. And, it just got ugly out there at times. And, we try to get on officials. I try to get on officials about it because they were throwing some punches and they never got called. I think they threw 5 punches. They punched us 5 times and not one of them got called. So I just don't know how they missed that. And that's what I told them. I said, I just don't understand how you could miss it if we get punched 5 times. So the guys got frustrated and kind of was reacting and because it wasn't being called. And next thing you know, we got all these penalties and guys trying to pay guys back and get another penalty and kill drives and things of that nature. So, but we got to do a better job understanding that just because somebody else does something dirty, we can't respond. And if they do, then we have to flop or not flop, but we have to fall down and let it be known that we just got punched instead of standing back up to them because they always gonna catch the second guy.
When it came to JJ playing in the second half, he started March to in the third quarter. What were you planning on going until he threw the pick? Were you planning on going to March the rest of the half, or was the?
Well, they came to me. The trainers came to me and told me JJ was out in the second quarter. So of course we got to go with Marsh at that point. And then at halftime they said that he couldn't go, but they said he wanted to go. I said, well, only thing we can do is see. I said we got to put him in there and see if he can go. But we started March. I don't think JJ was back out yet.
Okay.
And so we started March, and he was doing a good job until he threw the pick 6, of course. And then JJ stepped back in there and said he was good. So put Jay in, and he drove us down and we scored and tied the game up. And so I said, okay, he's fine. And of course you're going to leave your starter in if he could play.
And what's his status for this week?
Don't know yet. It's day to day. And so we'll see. We might, we practice today, and then tomorrow we'll be on the road, and Friday. So we'll see if Marsh get both days today. I might just start him and see how he do. But of course I see how Jay's feeling because he is our starter.
Has he been doing much in practice?
No, he hasn't.
Just
He missed probably the first 2 practices here the last 3 weeks.
is he able to move very well? Or?
No, not in practice.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's why we haven't had him practice the first 2 days, the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's the same injury he had during the Morgan State game, and you sat him out of practice before Florida A&M. So is the nature of the injury worse this time around than it was the first time?
No, I think it's about the same. It just hasn't had time to heal. He really needed time to heal, and those ankles you just never know. It could be 3 weeks, it could be 1 week, it could be game to game, and he's sucking it up, taping it up, and going out there playing, and he's in a lot of pain. And so you got to take your hats off to him. He's trying not to let his teammates down. He's trying to do all he can do and fight it out and push through. And that's what you got to do at this time of the year. You're talking about games 9, 10, and 11 of the football season. You're going to have some nicks and bruises, and you need tough guys to suck it up and try to play. But you don't want guys to play when they hurt the football team. But if they can play and be productive, you want them out there.
Did you, because I remember it was on a handoff when he got hurt. Did you see anything on film what happened?
Yeah, he handed it off as a draw, and so we was running the end of the field, and so after Jay handed it off, he stepped back, and then the end came around. It was kind of falling down. The guy pushed him, and he kind of just went into Jay's ankle there. And it don't take a lot right now because he's, taking probably a pain pill and then taping it up, and it's still fragile. So it don't take a lot on that ankle to re-injure it.
I know the timing's probably not ideal. Like you said, you would rather schedule this earlier or whatever, but are the kids pretty into having one more week of football?
I think so. It's another opportunity to play another football game, another opportunity to get better, and I think so. we knew we wasn't going home for Thanksgiving, at the beginning of the season. So it's not like, the guys like, well, we're ready to go. We want to go home for Thanksgiving. We knew we weren't going home for Thanksgiving. We knew we had to play this game. And therefore, the guys were focused. I think, disappointed from last week's loss to a big arch rival in the Battle of the Bay. But, back ready to roll, back ready to go. And we'll practice it this afternoon at 1 and then get ready to hit the road tomorrow. That's all, folks.
I'm here with head football coach Carnell Maynard. Coach Maynard, let's talk a little bit about the Norfolk State game. I know it was a tough game. One thing that I saw, and I think others saw as well, there were a lot of flags thrown in the game against two teams who don't get penalized a lot. Just talk a little bit about what we could have done differently in that game, in your opinion.
Well, like you say, they was least penalized team. I think we was number 3 in the league, and it's a rivalry game, a big game. Their seniors' last game, our seniors' last home game, and there's a lot of emotions flying. And they wanted the bragging rights, and so we had a few more penalties than we really wanted. We had 16 penalties at halftime. We had 9, and they had 7. So it wasn't a very pretty football game. And when it came down to it, they made one more play than we did.
Well, Coach, in that game, we saw Keon Marsh come in for Williamson early in the game to an injury. Talk a little bit about what did you see out of Keon, and is JJ going to be okay?
Well, the trainer said that JJ was out for the game, so, of course, Marsh is next guy up, and I thought he played decent in the first half. I thought the rest of the team didn't do enough to help him out with the penalties and had a couple busts on some plays. But I thought Marsh ran the team well the first half, and then came out the second half. The trainers told me that Jay was out, but he wanted to go. And so I said, well, all we can do is see if he can go. Keon started, and, of course, he threw the pick 6 for the touchdown, and then Jay came in the next series to see if he could go, and he was able to go. He let us down to a score, and so I said, okay, Jay is fine. We'll stick with Jay. We weren't able to score again, but we got that score to tie it up.
All right, Coach, now you got another game this week for the seniors, final game. We go to Coastal Carolina. Talk a little about what you've seen on film on Coastal Carolina.
Very good football team. Very good football team. They got 2 losses this year, both by 1 point, both to top 5 FCS programs. So we know we're going to have a work cut out for us. We got to play a perfect game, offense, defense, and special teams. They're very good in offense, defense, and special teams. So we got to do a better job of taking care of the football. We got to get some penetration on that defensive line because they're going to try to pound us and run the football.
Coach, talk a little bit about some of the advantage that Coastal Carolina have. They're going up, they're moving to FBS. They got a couple more scholarships. How does that present an issue for the Pirates? 85
scholarships or 63 scholarships. That presents a big problem. That gives you a lot more depth. Not only depth where when you lose a starter, when I lose a starter, I bring somebody in, I might have a drop off. They lose a starter, they can bring 2 more people in and don't have a drop off. And that's the biggest difference. We get wore down, and the guys with the more scholarships don't get wore down, and their second teamers are just as good as their first teamers.
Well, all right. Hampton will travel to Conway, South Carolina, take on the Chanticleers of Coastal Carolina. Game time is set for 2 p.m.
Go Pirates! This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.